So overall, I would say this game is absolutely amazing, and everyone who loves 2D platformers should play it. It's up there with Donkey Kong Country games, it's up there with Donkey Kong Country Returns, it's up there in quality. I enjoyed this game as much as I played Donkey Kong Country Returns, so I would definitely say it's about that same tier. But god, whenever I have to wait for a fucking platform cycle, I almost want to turn the game off. So... So hello everyone, and welcome to an Earnest review of Yooka in the Impossible Lair. So Yooka in the Impossible Lair, you could maybe call it Yooka 1.5, is sort of a sequel to Yooka 1. Now Yooka 1 was of course a Banjo-Kazooie inspired 3D collectathon platformer that had its fair share of problems. I personally still enjoyed playing it, but yeah, it had its fair share of problems. It wasn't that well liked by a lot of people who were expecting it to basically be the next Banjo-Kazooie. But it's okay, because this right here, it goes a very different route. First off, what you can see right here is that you have a 3D overworld. And this 3D overworld is not really the main game, but it still gives you plenty of content to play through. So as you can see, you can run around, you can roll around, you can jump around. There's some light puzzles where you have to move boxes, flip some switches, and do some other stuff. Overall, the overworld is a nice change of pace from the actual gameplay that I'm going to get into in a bit. But importantly to know that this is that the overworld provides maybe some of the gameplay that you might have expected from Yooka before. But the overall actual gameplay is that of a 2D side-scrolling platformer that you might expect from a Donkey Kong Country series. And I would say that some people might say, well, this game is kind of like copying Donkey Kong Country. But yeah, it's made by some of the same people in the developer seats, so that kind of makes sense. So you could say that when Yooka 1 was a spiritual successor to the 3D collectathon platformer, you could say that this is a spiritual successor to the Donkey Kong Country series, even though that one is still going on the Switch and Wii U, not on the Switch, but on the Wii U and the Wii, and you know. But how does that actually look like? How does it actually look like when some of the same developers say, okay, let's make a game that is still in the same vein of Donkey Kong Country series? Well, first off, before we actually go into the stage, we already see something that's a bit weird. There is tonics. What is this? Tonics? So whenever you go into a stage on the overworld, or rather on the overworld, you can find these tonics lying around for doing specific puzzles or finding out the solution to some mysteries. And these tonics you can equip before going into a stage, and they will give you, some will give you certain abilities, some will change the way the stage functions, some will just be purely graphical, like a disco filter. I'm gonna put any of the effect filter on so you can see how the game looks. But I can put something on like, for example, this one, Thick Skin. Yooka spends much more time invincible when he takes a hit. Not quite a B-shield, but close enough. And as you can see, if you put tonics on that are beneficial to you, you will receive less quills. Quills are a currency that I'm going to get in the stage, but there are also some effects that make the game harder, like less checkpoints. Putting less checkpoints on makes it so you get more quills. You can mix and match these and basically see, okay, maybe I just want to be able to have Spider Jam. Yooka climbs ropes and nettings much more quickly. Is everything a spider can? Almost. Maybe there's a stage that you've played through before and maybe you found out that, oh, that's a really difficult spot here. I kind of want to have this tonic. You can equip it, you get a few less quills, but hey, at least the stage has become easier. So you can mix and match and make any stage as easy or as hard as you want to. But I'm going to play without tonics for now. So the 2D platforming sections, which is mostly the main game, I say that mostly the main game. As a speedrunner, I spend a lot of time in the overworld. But the actual main game, the 2D side-scrolling bits that we see right here, are what people would say is the main game. It is the main game. And it's phenomenal. I actually really like this, the 2D side-scrolling sections. For one, they play really quickly, very smoothly. The controls are... they just fly off your hands really easily. It's very easy to just pick up the controller and be like, well, I know how platforming works. I know how platforming works. And on top of that, if you know how Donkey Kong Country works, you can be like, oh yeah, that works. And you can do absolutely everything you could that you could do in Donkey Kong Country as well, apart from pogoing. Well, that's only the newest one anyway. So let me just go through the basic way that the actual game works and not just talk some stupid stuff all the time. Basically, as you can see, you can run around, you can move, you can jump, you can duck, but you can also roll. You can do a regular roll by just pressing the X button, but if you have Laylee active, you can press X again and you will do a double roll. A double roll, or just a faster roll, or a Laylee roll, I don't actually know what the real name for this is, but if you do the double roll, you actually get a lot more speed, which is really cool. And in general, when you do any sorts of rolls, including the double roll, you can roll off an edge and then still jump, as you would be able to in the Donkey Kong Country series. You can see that it actually goes really far. You can actually go really far and still jump, which makes for some really far jumps that you can make. You can see how far you can make it with these jumps. It's actually pretty insane. There's also these golden quills, or just colored quills in general, and colored quills will give you a challenge. For example, the golden quill gives you a challenge where you have to follow a line that is being dragged around, and if you get all the quills, you get some bonus. There's also some other bonus quills that you have seen earlier, some quill challenges. There's also doors you can go in for sub-worlds. So you can see that a lot of the structure is pretty similar to what it is in the Donkey Kong Country game. But like I said, it's a lot of the same developers, so it really makes sense. There's also these coins that I'm collecting. They're grayed out right now because I've already collected them. But there's also coins you can collect. And coins are basically the Kong letters. There's 5 of them in each stage. And they're numbered so you know at which... so if you got, for example, the coin number 2, but you haven't gotten coin number 1 yet, then you know that you've missed one earlier in the stage. So they work like that, similar to how the Kong letters work. But if you got the K letter, if you got the O letter and you didn't get the K letter yet, then you knew, oh, I was missing something. Something important to note though about something that I really like about this game, something that I absolutely love about this game, is that once you've got a bunch of speed, like let's say you do a double roll, you actually keep that momentum for quite a while. I mean, it does drop down after a while if you just run, but if you keep jumping, you actually keep the momentum forever. As long as you keep jumping, that momentum is yours. You can do some more rolls in between to get yourself through some enemies if there's enemies or destructibles on the ground. So by just keep rolling and keep jumping, going through enemies, jumping on some other enemies, doing some bouncing, you can see that you can get a lot of movement speed and actually keep the movement speed, which as a speedrunner makes me really happy that that is indeed the case. Which of course makes it really nice to do some speedrunning. Of course there's some places right here where it's, for example, not that easy to keep the momentum up because you have to jump up some stairs. But it's still possible if you do it perfectly, which I can't do it right now. But in general, just being able to go through stages really quickly and that being like developer intended to keep your speed by jumping all the time. Like the developer really wants you to get a lot of speed and then keep the speed. And maybe make some hard jumps or fail them or whatever. Now what are quills for? Actually, quills are currency that you can spend in the overworld to unlock more tonics. To make the game even harder or more easier if you want to. Or you can spend them on... there's some cages on the overworld that you can unlock with them that give you access to the solution to some of the puzzles that you have to do in the overworld. But they're mostly for unlocking new tonics. Now, if I said earlier, if you have Laylee active, you can do the double roll. I haven't actually talked about Laylee yet. Basically, as you might expect from a Donkey Kong Country game, I'm just going to call it like a Donkey Kong Country game because it's very much like it. You have a partner with you, and if you get hit, that partner disappears. But in the case of Laylee, she doesn't disappear immediately. She actually just flies around the screen for a while, and you can pick her up if you're fast enough. But she only stays around for a little while. Basically, you can kind of imagine it being like being Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, where Baby Mario flies around for a bit, like you can see this, and she flies around for a bit, and in that case, she happened to fly right into my face again, which in tight spaces often happens, but she can also fly away, and you kind of have to grab her again. It's, so far as we know, it's completely random which way she goes and how she moves. She usually likes going in circles, but not all the time. But, so it's a bit of a challenge all the time. You can't just be like, well, she always flies to the left, so I can just go left. No, that's not how it works. She really just does random stuff. So, you really always have to be worrying about, okay, I just lost Laylee, where's she gonna go? It takes a bit of skill getting it back, which is fine. It's good that it takes skill to get it back, otherwise it would be too easy to be basically invulnerable. Because you can pick her up again and then you don't die. Because you only die if you take a hit while you're just Yooka. Like if you have both your party members, you can't die from hits. You just lose Laylee, and then after you've lost Laylee and then take a hit, then you die. So if it was too easy to get Laylee back, you would just be invulnerable forever, and that wouldn't be great. I would say the game mechanics are really well balanced with each other. The overworld is really nice and easy to get through, and it's really satisfying to, like when you beat a puzzle, you unlock a shortcut. Like for example, I unlocked a shortcut through here by doing some stuff earlier. By doing some stuff later in the game, and I can use that to just go to a different part of the game. Not that these shortcuts matter too much, because you can always just teleport everywhere you want to, but it's still nice that they thought a bit about the overworld, and the overworld actually makes sense. And you can also change the overworld a little bit around, like now it's slippery, woo! Yay! I like the animations as well. And then you can change it back. And why would you want to change the overworld? Just to do some puzzles and go further in the overworld? No! Changing stuff in the overworld actually changes the stage. For example, right now, this is Buzzsaw Falls, the regular stage. So if I go in here, it's just the regular stage, Buzzsaw Falls, but if I freeze the area around the stage actually changes. And now I have Buzzsaw Falls Frozen, which is a similar stage. It has the same basic idea behind the stage, but now everything is different. Now these stages aren't just, oh, now some water is icy and that's all. Like these are very, very different stages. You go into completely different doors that you didn't go through earlier. That you go through new places that you couldn't go through before. You take completely different paths. Maybe some of the obstacles have to be solved completely differently. Like it is legitimately a completely different stage, but you can really see, like, oh, this is what this was in the other half of the stage, or oh, this door was blocked in the other path, or oh, there's like frozen water here. I could swim through this in the other half, but now I can't, so I have to go the other way. So they legitimately are very, very different stages. I'd say like 90% of the stage is different. So it's not just the same stage with a different coat of paint. Like it really is a different stage completely. So it means that with 20 chapters in this game and each having a second half, you could say that there's like 40 stages, but like 80% are the same. So you can do some math and like, oh, it's not quite 80, not quite 40 stages, like 35 or something, I don't know. But on top of that, you also have the impossible lair that I've done a bunch of attempts on to get good at. Basically, the impossible lair is the final stage of the game, which you get thrown into right at the game starts. The game starts, you get thrown into the impossible lair, and if you're good enough, like a speedrunner, like I am, you could beat the impossible lair instantly and just beat the game. And that's an any percent speedrun, you just beat the game instantly. So basically, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild in that case. That you could just go to the final boss instantly. I mean, in Breath of the Wild you have to do the tutorial, but yeah, whatever. But you can just go to the final boss instantly, you just have to be good enough to do it. And if the longer you play the game, the more Bs you unlock. So when you beat a stage, for the first time, you get a B. There's also some Bs hidden on secret exits, and some Bs hidden on the overworld, if you do some secret stuff. And in total there's 48 Bs, and if you have 48 Bs, every B that you have gives you one extra hit that you can take without dying in the impossible lair. So if you have the maximum, which is 48 Bs, you can take 48 extra hits in the impossible lair without dying. Although I have to say, even with 48 Bs, still not that easy. Still not that easy. So this is a game where practice definitely does pay off, and you can get really, really fast at all of the stages in here. And I'm gonna put on a tonic right now that makes the game twice as fast. Not quite twice as fast, is it? No. And I'm just gonna go into a stage and just play around a bit. So because I just equipped a tonic that makes everything about twice as fast, it's gonna be really difficult. I'm gonna die very easily, but I'm gonna see how much I can do. So yeah, this is how it looks like when you speedrun the game. I mean, this wasn't really a full speedrun because I did have some mistakes in there, but this is the kind of game where if you get really good at it and you do stuff like the double speed tonic, suddenly everything just flies across the screen in a heartbeat, and it's actually really fun. This is actually one of those games where it's so incredibly fun to go fast. And there's some stuff right here where you have to wait for an elevator, but if you're on double speed, not even waiting for cycles like this elevator actually matters too much. So if you're wondering, but is it fun to go fast in this game? Okay, that sucks. But is it fun to go fast in this game? I can tell you, oh yeah, it is. Now, if you lose Laylee like I just did, you can't do the double roll anymore, and you can't take an extra hit, and also you can't do the air twirl. You might have seen me do this where you can press the attack button in the air and you do this air twirl. The problem with the air twirl is you might think it's an attack. It's not actually an attack. I'm going to show you the air twirl right here. This air twirl basically just gives you some extra, just some extra more air time. That's all it does. It's like basically kind of like a double jump, a really anemic double jump, but it still kind of is like a double jump. Well, these Laylee bells. If you lose Laylee, you can get it back at a bell, or if you respawn, as you just saw, if you respawn at a checkpoint, you also get Laylee back. Give me my Laylee back. And sometimes she flies really weirdly in really odd spaces, like she just runs past some obstacles and you can't get it back. So it's always like a risk versus reward. Like, do I want to get Laylee back, or do I just say, okay, screw Laylee, I'm just going to continue and just play without her. And maybe I can go to a bell, maybe I can go to a checkpoint, and then when I die at the checkpoint, I can just get her back at the checkpoint. So I just be like, no, I'm not going to play without her, I'm just going to keep going, and it was a bad mistake. But yeah, keep in mind this is all on double speed, so not that simple. Oh, I think you can't take them off during a stage. Yeah, if you change your equipped tonics, I'll lose the quills that I've collected so far because it changes the modifiers around. If the modifiers change around, then some of the quills, quill numbers change as well. I think it actually takes all your quills that you made. Yeah, it takes all the quills you've ever made, but in the stage. But at least you get to change within the stage as well. This is what it looks like on normal speed. It suddenly looks a lot slower, but still, this is actually still pretty fast if I get the running speed off. Now, I said a lot of good stuff about this game, because like I said, I really like the gameplay, I like how fast you can go through stages, I like how easy it is to conserve momentum, how it actually is developer intended to conserve a lot of momentum. That should not fit me, I think. But I'm going to talk about some of the bad stuff, and some of the bad stuff, there's only one really big gripe that I have about the game. Okay, kind of two. One of the gripe is that some of the hitboxes are a bit too precise. Like right there, I think to myself, in a video game, I would expect to be able to go through there without taking damage, just because it looks like I should be able to. But the hitboxes are so precise that sometimes you just hit the outer edge of a spike and you get hit, and you're like, that's the outermost pixel of a spike. That shouldn't hit me. There should be a little bit of a leniency. Like nowadays, people have gotten used to there being a leniency that you think to yourself, yeah, that shouldn't have hit me. And that happens sometimes where you think to yourself, there's no leniency. There's like pixel perfect hitboxes, and pixel perfect hitboxes are usually bad in a video game because no one wants to have pixel perfect hitboxes. It feels really bad, actually. Anyway. That's only a minor part though, because you can kind of get used to that and just play around that. It doesn't really matter too much. In the impossible layer, it kind of gets on your nerves because there's a lot of times I get hit and I'm like, but just like my toe, my small toe just barely brushed against the outermost pixel of a spike and it counts as a full hit. And I'm like, that feels a bit bad. That feels bad. That shouldn't be like that. Make the hitboxes more lenient, guys. It shouldn't be like this. But something that I can say is that that's really just one of the small bits you can play around that. But there's a bigger problem. The biggest problem that I have with this game, pretty much the only big gripe that I have at all with this game, is something that you can see right here. You have to wait for these saw blades to go past. It's so fun to go fast in this game. And then you get to stuff like this, where you are forced to wait. I can't do anything right now, hands off the controller, and wait for the platform to move. I know this happens a bunch in Donkey Kong Country games, that you have to wait for like platforms moving, like elevators. I know that that's part of the game. However, this game does it way too much. In almost every single stage in this game, there's stuff you have to wait for, and it's so annoying, especially when you start to get better at like running through the stages, when you start to actually get into speedrunning a bit. You know how at the very beginning of that stage, you know how fast I was going, you know how I was zipping past through the entire stage, and it felt really good to play as well. And then in the second part of that stage, I had to wait for saw blades to go past, and I was just standing there, and I was on an elevator, the elevator's moving up, and I was just standing there crossing my arms and being like, well, I guess I have to wait for the elevator to move. Like I said, playing the game with the double time tonic that you can find, by the way, in case you're wondering, I'm going to say this, you can find it right here where my cursor is, that's where you find it. The intended way of getting that, by the way, is to have so many bees that you can make this jump over here. I guess you can also go from the right side, but this jump also is possible. You can do some crazy jumps in the overworld, by the way. The overworld is incredibly broken. In a speedrun, you can break through the entire overworld without... Like, there's paywalls that you have to pay coins for, that you find in the levels. We can skip pretty much every single paywall in the entire game, apart from the desert one. So we can completely break the entire overworld in speedruns, but yeah. Anyway, this one is right here. I can show you a speedrun strat to do it as well. Okay, if you want to hang around to the end of the review, I'm going to show you a speedrun strat to get this tonic over there at the very beginning of the game without this little hive building being there. But yeah. As I want to say is, if you play the game on double time, it actually is rather nice. But of course, the double time tonic is just one of the modifiers you can put on a stage out of like 66. Most of which are just, not most of which, but some of which are just visual effects. But yeah, it's not intended that you play the game on double time. But in my opinion, all the cycles-based stuff, like elevators, like saw blades moving around, there's gears later on in the game that you have to like go in between the geared teeth thingies and wait around a bit. All of that stuff really should be faster, or in my opinion, just shouldn't be that much. There's some stages in this game that have pretty much only cycle-based stuff that just rob my time. And this is, like I said, this is the only really big gripe that I have about this game, is that there's so much stuff in this game where you have to wait for cycles. And you say like, okay, if you're a speedrunner, you can jump past a lot of these cycles. That's true. You can jump past a lot of the cycles in this game if you're a speedrunner. But the problem is, there's still plenty of cycles that you will never be able to get past just because of how the stage is built. Like, I think there's a cycle out here where I can get a really fast cycle, I'm not quite sure. Like if you go really fast, you just wait for this cycle. There's just a few seconds of waiting. But there's another cycle coming up that I'll have to wait for, and I might have to wait for it quite a bit longer. So I'm gonna go down here. I hate how these guys are just after you roll. Okay, never mind. So you go down here, you're like, okay, I'm gonna make this cycle, and you wait for this. And I get to play the game again. Cool, I get to play the game again, that's cool. Okay, let's keep going, We are playing the game. We are indeed playing the game. Yeah, playing the game. Jumping in the sky for some speed. It's going great, Oh, no, we have to wait again. These cycles, by the way, start when you get close to them, so even if you're really, really fast, this gear will always be on this cycle. But it's okay, we're playing the game again, Oh no, we need to wait for a cycle again. Yeah, just hold on a second. Okay, we're playing the game again. I'm gonna be really fast here. Oh no, I didn't make it in time. You can actually make that cycle, but you know. Imagine you're not a speedrunner and you just basically wait for this. Okay, no, we're going fast again. Oh no, we need to wait for this cycle. I know a speedrun strat where I can skip the next cycle. I can skip the cycle, wait for it. I need to wait to skip the cycle though. I need to wait for the skip. Even the skips need to wait for in this game. Okay, there we go. I skipped something. Yay! That's an intended skip, of course. Okay, I get to play the game again. Cool, I get to play the game again. Wait a second. I need to wait for this gear. Okay, playing the game again. Woo! Okay, yeah, playing the game again. Woo! Nice. I love playing this game. I love playing this game so much. Just let me go down here and... Do you kind of see what I'm getting at? Of course it's a bit extreme. It's a bit extreme in this stage, but trust me. A lot of stages in this game, most stages in this game, force you to wait in some place or another, and it gets really, really annoying in the long run. Like Whenever I saw any sort of cycle I had to wait on, I was like, oh, come on, just let me play the game more. Just let me play I don't want to wait on an elevator that's going up. I mean, I have to dodge stuff during the elevator ride, cool, but I'd rather just have to dodge the stuff, like, if there's an elevator, like, there's places where you have to stand on an elevator and the elevator's going up while you're getting shot at or while there's saw blades going around, and I think to myself, that's cool and all, but can't you just take the entire elevator shaft, tilt it sideways and let me run through it? Just tilt it sideways and let me run through it. I don't want to have to wait 2 minutes on a fucking elevator run. I'm getting heated again because this is like, I'm saying this is like the only big gripe that I have, but it's a pretty big gripe because it just keeps happening all the time that you have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And I just want to keep playing the game because the game, like the actual moment-to-moment gameplay is so fun, but I have to wait on cycles so much in this game. So overall, I'd say this game is absolutely amazing, and everyone who loves 2D platformers should play it. It's up there with Donkey Kong Country games, it's up there with Donkey Kong Country Returns, it's up there in quality. I enjoyed this game as much as I played Donkey Kong Country Returns, so I would definitely say it's about that same tier. But god, whenever I have to wait for a fucking platform cycle, I almost want to turn the game off. So, at least the double speed tonic sort of helps with that, so I don't have to wait too long on platform cycles, and actually makes the game a lot more enjoyable for me as a speedrunner. So this tonic is a godsend. It's also a godsend, you can get it right at the start of the game. But yeah, like I said, overall the game is absolutely great. If you were disappointed by Yooka-Laylee 1 and you think to yourself, I would still like to actually have a ukulele game that's like really, really good, and not in the kind of it's good but sense, but that's just like it's good. Ukulele the Impossible Lair is for you. It is the game for you. It's a ukulele game that is just good. It's just good. If you like any sort of 2D platforming, get this game. Just be aware that you might have to wait a few minutes, a few hours for some platform cycles in the game. And the fact that the Impossible Lair is actually really difficult, which is good. That's the end of my review, but if you've stuck around all this time, I'm gonna show you something. Okay, I'm gonna count to 9 beeps twice, and I'm gonna jump on 5. I can't tell you this is gonna work instantly. I'm gonna try it first try, let's see. And that done it. That skipped having to have this building down there. That's a bomb job. Speedrun stuff in this game is great. Speedrunning in this game is actually pretty great. If you like speedrunning, this is a game for you. Because up there, you can do this right as the game starts, because the game starts right in this area. Right as the game starts, you can do what I just did. And you can get the speed up tonic. You pay for it with 500 quills, and you can do almost the entire speed run with the double speed tonic active. So if you want to speed run the game, and you just think, oh man, I want to speed the game, but he just told me there's so much waiting in this game, then you can just be like, oh, I can still speed run the game because you can get the double speed tonic right at the start of the game, and then you can just play through most of the game with the double speed active, and you don't have to wait too much. Okay, let's see if I can get this. It looked easier for other people. Yeah, that skips Paywall 1. I just wanted to show you Paywall 1 skip because I was like, oh, I'm right at Paywall 1, so I might as well skip Paywall 1. I can show you so many skips, but this is a part of the review. The review was just for talking about the game, and I've done that, so that was. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to talk about anything, tell me anything you want in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time.